Okay, Munchkin Butts, I want you to pay very close attention to this. Back in the day, it was between 2007 and 2009, I was composing a timeline in my private email accounts. And what I was planning on doing was, once the timeline had been completed, I was then going to copy and paste the entire timeline into a Google Documents program, so I could take my name out of the timeline and replace it with Jane Doe. And then post it to the internet. So what the perpetrators did was, when they seen I was getting about 3/4 of the way finished with the timeline, they went into my email accounts and copied and pasted all of the timeline sections together and posted it to the internet using one of my blog accounts. And I didn't discover it until, I don't remember how long it took for me to discover it. Because at that time, current events and new events were keeping me preoccupied. Once I finally discovered it, current events were still keeping me preoccupied, so I just said screw it and left it there. Why am I making this point? In that particular blog that they went and posted online, as a result of them going into my email accounts and doing what I've already aforementioned, there's a part in there that talks about how I mailed some things of mine to a person who I later discovered was directly connected to the gang stalking of me. And what I had mailed to that person, I also included a small notation on the priority envelope. Before that envelope reached the location it was sent to, because it was sent priority mail, I had went to a self-help group meeting, and as I walked down the stairs going into the meeting, a girl was giving an open monologue for everybody at the meeting to hear. Within that monologue, she was repeating word for word what I had written on the inside of a priority mail, United States Postal Service priority mail envelope to the individual that I had sent it to. And the reason why I know that he did not get the envelope yet, in order for him to have gotten it, read it, and then talked about it with anybody, was because after the meeting was over with, I called him. And he said he hadn't got the mail yet. I want you to listen to this.
It's almost the same type of MO. Let's go to Rudy right now in Colorado, KRDO 105.5 FM. You're on ground zero. Go ahead.
Hi, Clyde. How's it going?
Great.
I'm so happy that you guys decided to discuss the subject, because I was a victim of gang stalking back in 2007. I was in IT for over 10 years, and basically I would go to work, and people would be talking about stuff that was in private things that were going on between me and my wife at home. And
what does that tell you? In organized stalking and gang stalking expeditions, one of their main methods, in fact, you can go to Google right now and type in organized stalking or gang stalking and postal employees. Postal employees. Mail theft and mail delayment. Now, where I had sent that priority envelope from was at a post office where a connected postal employee, somebody that I knew and the perpetrators knew, worked at. That's right, baby cakes. Her name was, what was her name? There was one by the name of Rose, and another one by the name of, I'm forgetting her name. I'm picturing her face right now as I'm thinking about her, but I'm literally forgetting her name. I got her on tape recording in one of my older tape recorders. So until I can remember her name, which I probably will before I go to bed tonight, I have flat out, literally, completely forgot her name. I'm having a total brain freeze. Anyway, she was another connected party to that expedition. But one of the main methods of gang stalking is to get around the targeted individual and to regurgitate private information that only the target should know, or their spouse, or maybe their parents. Okay? Including regurgitating information that the targeted individual did on their computer, things they said on their cell phone, things they said on their landline phone, and if a targeted individual, if a targeted gang stalking, targets of gang stalking can also be subjected to remote neural monitoring. And if that is happening to a targeted individual, well, I strongly suggest you research remote neural monitoring. In fact, earlier in this broadcast that you're listening to right now, Fritz Springmeier talked about how targeted individuals, the perpetrators, put thoughts into their heads using certain electronic equipment. Literally, earlier in the same exact audio file, he was talking about it. Now, does remote neural monitoring have the capability to engage in mind reading? Just Google it. All you got to do is Google it. It's real simple. If you just take the time to sit down in front of your computer right now and type in remote neural monitoring and mind reading, you will be amazed at what you see. So, if a criminal was remotely neurally monitoring a targeted individual's biomagnetic field of their brain and engaging in mind reading of the target as a result, the computer is basically what it is. It's a computer. It's called the computer to brain link. And then what is ever read by the computer, the person who's monitoring the monitor reads the computer log concerning what the computer was able to ascertain from the remote neural monitoring. Then they take inserts from that log pertaining to the thoughts that were processed and will funnel that information to the individuals they have decided to use for the day to harass the target. Basically just mostly usually dupe dummies. At other times they will use syndicate members. As a result, these individuals are told where to be at in reference to where the target's at. They are then told to get around the targeted individual and to repeat inserts of what the targeted individual processed when they were thinking. I suggest you research it. It's all I'm saying is just research it. Literally. Now, if you want to listen to this entire show in reference to the date it was published, the date it was on the radio show, go to Google and type in Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis, February 18th, 2013. You'll probably be able to find it through looking at SoundCloud after typing in the just mentioned descriptions. Okay? This is just food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice night.